Since we're talking about Don't Breathe this week, do you want to hold your breath? See how long we can hold our breaths for.
Okay. Yes. That's a great idea. All right, ready?
Okay. I mean, there's no way of verifying whether or not either of us actually held our breath. We could both just be lying. But anyway, yes, this week, welcome, as always, to a podcast now. I'm your host, Lachlan, and I'm joined by Lucas, and he has full visibility. He can see everything. He is not blind.
Thankfully.
Yes.
Or not a veteran. Or not a fucked up veteran.
You're also not a fucked up veteran. And this week, a few things happened. Firstly, What If Episode 2 came out, and to me, it solved every single issue I had with the first episode. So now I can say that I love What If.
Yes.
And
I agree.
yes. And additionally, as well, we're going to talk about the 2016 movie Don't Breathe, because it had a sequel that released. We have not seen the sequel, but we're going to talk about the original. I don't think either of us had seen the original prior to watching it for the pod.
I heard about it.
Yeah.
I heard about the concept of a blind man in a house. I didn't really understand why. I saw the trailers. I didn't understand why these people were in this house. I thought it was a cool concept. Like, they were trapped in this scary house, and there was this blind man that was hunting them down. So my expectations were, not, I would say high, but like for the concept, they were kind of high, and like the plot, I was like, oh, this is going to be sick. But it turned out to be a lot more mediocre.
Yes.
So let's delve into that.
All of that is to come this week, but first, I want to talk about a bit of news. Film news again this week.
Yes.
I think it's our favorite part of the pod is talking about news.
News.
Yes. So last week there was a lot of news around COVID's impact on the film industry. This week I thought, what should I do as the theme for the news this week? And scrolling through various different established publications, trying to find what would be a good topic this week. And I just kept seeing a bunch of stuff about Michael Keaton in new movies he's in. And I thought, you know what, let's talk about it. I don't think we've talked about any of the upcoming movies he's in, and he's in some pretty interesting things. So I'll start with the movie that we're probably less excited for, and that's he has a role in the new Morbius movie starring Jared Leto, which is, it's a Marvel character, but it's one of the Marvel characters owned by Sony, so it's not Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
And there's been a bit of trickery, let's say, at Sony. A bit of trickery, right? So, of course, when Venom was coming out, Sony kept, winking and saying, yes, it's adjacent to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Wink.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige would be like, no, it is not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is not. And then Sony, wink, it might be. Spider-Man will cross paths in the future. And then the trailer came out for Morbius, probably over a year ago now. And it was weird. It had firstly, you couldn't tell whether, what universe it was set in. Because is it supposed to be the Venom universe? Or is it supposed to be the MCU? Or is it supposed to be the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man? Because there's a graffiti image of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in the back. And there's images of Daily Bugle, and it's all, Sam Raimi's Daily Bugle design. But then you have Michael Keaton reprising his role as the Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming.
So it's just this big mess. Another mess that we love talking about. Either they're doing this to just throw everybody off, which is kind of smart, because then they're getting all these fan bases together to watch this movie, which is again, a good marketing ploy. And I think like it's just we've seen this before with like, you know, Suicide Squad and just Sony, you know, seeing Marvel be so successful and just going, all right, we got to ride off this,
Yeah.
you know, success. We got to be like, oh, we're also, you know, linked to Marvel, as you're saying before, like, oh, we're linked to Marvel, and then Marvel would be like,
no, we don't know that guy.
we're not.
He's not with us.
Yeah, fucking not with him. But yeah, no, it's interesting. It's interesting.
So it seems like not only are we confused, but the man himself, Michael Keaton, doesn't know what's going on. So when the people making Morbius and the people at Sony were trying to explain how his character exists in this universe, this was his response. I'm nodding like I know what the fuck they're talking about. I go, uh-huh. And I'm thinking, you may as well be explaining quantum physics right now. All I know is I just know my guy, and I know the basics. So finally, they were looking at me and they just started laughing. They said, you don't know what we're talking about, do you? I said, no, I don't know. I don't know. No idea what you're talking about. So it seems like there is a plan to, you know, smash these universes together somehow that I think we will see play out. And because if it was straightforward and just, you know, Michael Keaton, you're playing the Vulture from Homecoming, then that makes perfect sense. But if Michael Keaton doesn't know what's going on and he's playing the character, then it must mean they've got some fucking complex, convoluted, universe colliding thing going on. For a fucking movie about a vampire character that no one knows of, starring Jared Leto.
It's already off to a very rocky start, is what I can say, and what sounds like it. Like that they're just struggling, and that they're like, all right, how can we make more money? It's very similar to the Disney, you know, dilemma, where they're just literally making movies off existing rides. They're like, well, shit, again, how can we add things to an existing universe? Let's just get things from the existing universe and smash them all together.
Exactly.
You know, just for viewers to be, you know, feel not nostalgic, but just like, oh, I know where he's from.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't feel too out of my depth. It's
pulling from material that is much better to try to trick people into thinking that this is also good. And people, I mean, people like Venom was a smash hit, and I believe that was only because people thought it was a Marvel Studios movie and were tricked into saying it.
I agree. I definitely, well, I mean, yeah, that would have been a huge Marvel like studio movie, because Marvel's never really done, other than like Infinity War, because people argue that that's Thanos' movie.
Yes,
before that, they'd never really done a villains Marvel movie, which I think that'd be a great for Marvel to do, like a villain themed movie where it's on a villain, similar to Suicide Squad, how it's just on all the villains. They're all terrible people, and it really drives that home. Yeah. Well, I guess we've seen that with Loki, though. I guess because Loki is a. I mean,
that definitely deals in the grey, and I think Venom as well. It's not. He's not like a bad guy. It is also more grey. So I think as well, a lot of these. I mean, I would say the Suicide Squad is probably the movie that leans the heaviest into them actually being villains and bad people. Yeah. But and we've also seen, like, you know, you could also argue that, you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're a bunch of misfits that aren't quite heroic. And
that's true.
I'm sure we'll talk about the Guardians later in this episode as well.
Yes.
We have to. But just quickly as well, I mean, so Marvel right now is trying to set up, is in the process of setting up this multiverse. And it is believed that will impact the next Spider-Man movie. So I think that Sony might be like trying to use what Marvel's doing with the multiverse for their own gain and say, we're one of those worlds in this multiverse. That's what I think they're going to do.
I mean, that is like semi-genius, but yeah, it definitely sounds like they're going, like they're watching everything Marvel alongside all the viewers and being like, there's something big coming up. Like we can profit from this.
We can trick people into thinking we're a part of it.
Exactly. That's hilarious. And I feel like that's definitely kind of what they're doing. I feel like they would either have an in as well. Like they'd obviously have an in, like it's Sony. into someone working with Marvel and be like, all right, what's happening? Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, Sony and Marvel work together on the new Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, so they do have communication. So yeah, it is likely that they might have had some discussions around this multiverse, and you never know. Kevin Feige might want to play ball now and is like, well, we can't stop you from doing it, so we may as well try and help, because ultimately, if Sony makes a bad Marvel movie, that destroys the brand of Marvel. So
exactly,
they're directly interested in that.
Well, hopefully they can prove themselves to make a good Marvel-esque movie. So then Marvel itself is like, okay, you've proven that you can make good
and takes them
movies.
seriously.
Exactly, yeah. Which I feel like they should focus on. They should gain that reputation before going into Marvel. Like I feel like, they shouldn't really focus on the big Marvel thing, like world building things, and just focus on the characters themselves.
Exactly.
So that when the movie comes out, people like the character, then Marvel can consider putting them in the universe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's the first bit of Michael Keaton news. The other bit of Michael Keaton news is so he's starring in the Flash movie, which comes out next year. He's reprising his role as Batman from Tim Burton's Batman duology.
The best Batman,
well,
arguably.
I mean, they're all pretty, I think Michael Keaton was definitely an interesting choice because at the time he came from a very comedic background. And and he's not like a massive muscular guy. If you looked at Superman, who was it? Christopher Reeves, I think was his name. He was like a superhero looking dude, especially for the time.
With the hair, the fucking curl. Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas Michael Keaton is, he's a smaller dude. He just kind of looks like a regular guy. And that's what they were going for with like those Tim Burton Batman movies.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's reprising his role. It's funny how DC and Marvel have, I think, unintentionally are doing the same thing at the same time in terms of doing multiverses. I think.
Yes.
I don't think that one is copying the other. DC had this plan, ever since Justice League came out and bombed. I bet they had the plan to reset everything with a multiverse. So I don't think DC is copying Marvel. And similarly, I think Marvel knew that's what they wanted to do with their Phase 4. So I don't think they're copying each other. I think it's just accidental that they're happening at the same time. But in saying that, yes, The Flash is going to be a multiversal movie. And here's when asked about it, here's Michael Keaton's thoughts. Frankly, in the back of my head, I always thought, I bet I could go back and nail that motherfucker. And so I thought, well, now that they're asking me, let me see if I can pull that off. And then he follows up with, what's really interesting is how much more I got Batman when I went back and did it again. I get this on a whole other level now. I totally respect it. I respect what people are trying to make. I never looked at it like, oh, this is just a silly thing. It was not a silly thing when I did Batman, but it has become a giant thing. Culturally, it's iconic. So I have even more respect for it because what do I know? This is a big deal in the world to people. You've got to honor that and be respectful of that. Even I go, Jesus, this is huge. So it seems like Michael Keaton is very much ready to reprise his role as Batman. And I just want to see, what are your thoughts on Michael Keaton coming back?
Well, I mean, I remember watching those movies as a kid with Michael Keaton, and they were, like, as a kid, like, the best. Like, I feel like the set pieces, the villains especially, were insane. And, like, just the fight scenes as well, and, like, Robin as well, like, he's huge. Like, I watched those movies religiously. And then I remember, like, I haven't watched them again, but I can just remember in my mind that, like, going back to them would just be, like, ludicrous. They're very silly now, like, today. And I feel like seeing that Michael Keaton has, like, understood that, oh, this is, big pop culture, like, star.
Yeah.
And, he wants to play it, like, seriously, and wants, give his all. is probably like huge. Definitely for, you know, everyone that loves Batman.
Yeah.
Like it's very respectful for him to say that kind of thing. And I think that he could definitely pull off a good job. Like, I mean, we see him do Birdman, which is not far off. I mean,
Exactly.
Bat, Bird, very similar.
They both fly.
Exactly. But like he was very intense, very, very intense in that role. And
he's an amazing dramatic actor. There's no doubt about it. And the fact that it's been on his mind to return is such a good sign, because it means he's actually thought about ways of you know, maybe updating the character slightly with the modern times.
100%.
With the fact that he's slightly older now. So I'm really excited to see him come back. I think, you know, given that, you know, we don't know if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are coming back, knowing that Michael Keaton is coming back is kind of at least, you know, something to like look forward to. That'd
be sick though. That'd be really cool just to see them both back. Because I do miss, the Spider-Man movies with Tobey. Like again, like I remember rewatching Spider-Man 3, and it's just so like whack. It is the wackest film I've ever watched, and like to just see, I guess how it's aged. And like, well, how badly it's aged. It's honestly aged like milk. But like, just it's again a mess. Like, you know, all these characters, you know, doing their own things, and then Spider-Man's in the middle of it, and then Spider-Man with Venom as well. Like, and they all just shove it into this one movie.
And Andrew Garfield in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, very, very nearly identical situation.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So they both need their redemptions. So if they can come back in the third...
Both great actors, though.
I know.
Both great actors, but
Yeah, so that's some multiversal news across the board there. That, you know, so Marvel's already got its multiverse underway. Sony is trying to steal it, and DC's about to start theirs next year.
Yeah.
And Michael Keaton is somehow involved in all of it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And he has no idea. He has no idea.
No clue what's going on.
Well, the only clue he has, which is where you want him to have a clue, is what he's doing with Batman, which is great, which is really, really good.
He knows what he's doing when playing Batman. He has no clue what he's doing while playing Vulture. That's okay.
That's fine. We can do that. We can live with that.
Okay. So let's move on. So the second episode of What If came out this week. I was very disappointed with the first episode because it just was a character swap, and then they retold Captain America: The First Avenger nearly identically. Yep. Right?
Exactly.
Do you want to explain how this episode's different?
Yes. So, like, again, what was wrong with the first one was every character in it was the same. Like, the villains were the same. The characters that we saw in the, first Steve Rogers movie were, you know, the same. Tony Stark was Tony Stark's father. Howard Stark was exactly the same. Every, like, the movie, the episode played out exactly the same as the movie. And, like, I guess it was disappointing because, you want to really see how things can go once, like, one thing has changed. And we do see this in the second one when the boys accidentally pick up T'Challa. It's T'Challa, right?
Yeah, T'Challa.
I had always difficulties pronouncing that. Rest in peace, Chadwick. It was great to see that they, like, so quickly were just, like, ready to play with this. And I think it hit me when, like, they're in that, like, big club and Thanos just comes over.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what up? And you're just sitting there like, what? Like, isn't he supposed to be, the big, bad guy? But I guess T'Challa's changed his mind. Well, we call him, like, the new Star-Lord now, I guess. Yeah. But he's, like, through
a conversation with Thanos, was able to change his mind.
And this, and that is what you want to see. Like, you want to see how this new character can impact the world you already know. And just seeing this, like, just shows, like, what a good idea this What If series is. Like, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But what did you think?
Yes, I loved it. I think, I was a bit scared when we got the opening sequence of Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Yes, true.
When T'Challa is now stealing the Power Stone.
Infinity Stone, yeah.
Yeah, the purple one.
Yeah.
The orb. And it's kind of, apart from him not dancing, it's largely playing out the exact same. And then you get that, I can't remember the character's name, but you get that guy who, goes to stop Star-Lord. And in the original Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like,
Freeze.
it's like, who are you? And then there's the big reveal and Peter Quill's like, I'm Star-Lord. And the guy's like, who? It's like, oh, I'm Star-Lord, man. And then in this one, he just unveils his mask and you see T'Challa. And then the guy's like, "Oh my god, it's Star-Lord!" It's like that moment made me realize, okay, this is gonna be a completely different story.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely like. He was literally like a fan guy, I guess. Yeah, he fucking like was down. And he's like, "Oh, we're supposed to fight now," and he's like, "Oh," and he punches him, and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." And then he's like pointing the gun at him. And he's like, "Wait, should we use guns? Like, do you want me to use guns?" And it's just like the best. It's how this what if should be. We should see the characters that we've already seen. Should see things play out extremely different to how they've been interpreted before. Which was a massive change from the first one.
And I think the one thing about this episode that I'm a bit iffy about is the fact that the episode's like, what if T'Challa was Star-Lord? But really it's what if Star-Lord was actually capable, right?
Yes.
Because the whole universe is largely, well, we think, at least, it appears to be, that the whole universe is better off with T'Challa as Star-Lord because he's able to stop Thanos from being a genocidal maniac.
Yeah.
Right? And as a result, you'd never have half of the universe being decimated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We see Drax, and he hasn't lost his family, right?
Yes.
Nebula hasn't been turned into fully robot yet. She's still mostly human. And it's by having T'Challa be Star-Lord, and as well, he's turned the Ravagers into being a Robin Hood type group.
Exactly.
So he's done all of these, he's changed the universe in all of these really extremely positive ways. And it just shows you that Peter Quill Star-Lord was given this amazing opportunity and was just, because he's just some schlub of a guy, he's just,
Well, I mean, again, it shows, being Wakandan born, you are grown up with these insane values of protect humanity or whatever. Because the Black Panther, he was a prince. He was
being a leader, really.
Yeah, he was a leader from childbirth. His father was the king or the emperor or whatever. The king. So I mean, there is a lot of responsibility on your shoulders already that you will have to that has already gone through his head as a kid of I need to have these values correct and in line with my father's. So, and just adding the power of Star-Lord to those values.
Exactly. It's brilliant. It shows why Black Panther as a character is so good and so unique. Is that it's not like Captain America, who's just idealistic. It's more about him showing the world how to be better, right? Actually talking about, instead of say with Thanos, right? All he had to do was have a discussion with him, right? And that was enough because he's the type of character that will actually listen to what you're saying and try to provide a better solution, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And it's just
was great.
It's great. It's fantastic.
So good. So good.
And it's fun seeing Chadwick Boseman's performance in this, that he's not as reserved as he is for Black Panther. He's allowed to be a bit sillier and goofier because he's grown up in space with all of these, space pirates essentially. Of course, he's going to be a little bit more, wacky, and it's great fun to see him, do that with his performance. And
100%.
Kevin Feige even said that off the back of doing this performance, Chadwick was talking to the director of Black Panther 2 saying, how can we get some of that same fun energy in the second Black Panther movie? Of course.
Need to get Taika Waititi on it.
Yeah. That could be fun. But and then it's just sad that, of course, that couldn't eventuate because this performance is so good. And he's still going to be in a few more episodes of What If, so this isn't his final episode, but it's probably it is like his send off because he's the main character in this episode, and I don't think he's going to be the main character in future episodes, but we'll see him turn up.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. But yeah, like this was what we wanted for the episode to be, and I'm so glad because we were speculating. I think it was last episode when we were talking about the first episode. We're like, oh, they will probably not do too much much radical things with this what if series just to keep
at least at the start, right? Like
exactly.
And that was definitely the case. They're building up to they're starting with familiar ground so that everyone's on the same page, right? We'll just change one slight detail, see how it plays out. Okay, that worked, right? You're all on board with that. Now let's let's make that same small detail again, but now let's have bigger ramifications, right? And then, it's probably going to keep escalating to the point where we are now seeing stuff that is so foreign to what the MCU is, right? So it's about building that up slowly. And, Jesus. In hindsight, I do now, my view on the first episode has lightened a bit because I understand now what they were trying to do and ease us into it.
Yes,
but
definitely.
It was just a bit annoying, but massive improvement this week.
Oh yeah. It's when that heist at the end, what they're trying to do. Usually,
fantastic sequence by the way.
Oh yeah, I mean that now. The keeper, the collector is now like their worst enemy. I mean, which makes sense because it would be who else other than Thanos, other than Ronan, I guess.
By changing, and I think we should talk about that as well. So by T'Challa changing Thanos' point of view, it left a power vacuum that the collector filled, and we see in the episode that he's gotten Thor's hammer and Cap's shield. So potentially he's taken on the Avengers and won.
Yeah.
And they could be dead for all we know, right? And so that's potentially while we see, how the universe is so much better with T'Challa as Star-Lord, maybe it's caused larger scale negative ramifications in that now the Earth is without Avengers.
I did not think about that.
And we saw at the end of the episode as well that Peter Quill's father comes to get him, right? Ego, the living planet.
That is true.
And now, Peter is now not the hero that he was in the Guardians movies. He's going to be completely incapable of fighting back against him. And, the Watcher has a little tidbit at the end that's like, this could be the end of the universe or whatever. And it very well could be. So even though it appears like T'Challa's made everything better, maybe Thanos was like a necessary evil in preventing worse things from happening.
That's true. That is
because at least Thanos has like morals. You know what I mean?
Well, he didn't want to destroy the entire universe. He wanted to destroy half. Whereas all these other guys are like, I want all of it. Fuck's sake.
I love when he's in Wakanda and he's talking to the people, and it's like, no, it's not genocide, right? Because it's random. Okay?
It's efficient. Yeah. I was just laughing. But I loved, that he, he keeps, he didn't completely forget about it, because that would just feel too weird that this Thanos is all of a sudden completely good. I liked it. He's still talking about it and be like, oh, I had a point. Come on, I had a point.
Exactly. It's in theory, the idea is pretty good, right? And he still kind of has that view, but he's not going to go through with it now because he understands, there are better ways of, improving.
100%.
Instead of killing everyone, you could just help, provide more resources, right?
Which is what they do with the Genesis plant, I think it's called, or Genesis seed. Well, that's this seed that just expands and expands and expands and, grows heaps of plants. So, I mean, again, just a perfect heist, action sequence to just show the real ramifications of T'Challa's character and, that he's not just doing these heists for his personal gain. He's out there helping people that, aren't able to help themselves, providing plants for entire planets. Food and stuff.
And I think the interesting changes between T'Challa and Peter Quill. Peter never came back to Earth just because there was really nothing there for him, right?
That's true.
But T'Challa, there is a lot there for him. There's his whole family, his whole nation that he's supposed to be king of. And it turns out that Yondu lied to him and said that Wakanda was destroyed, when in reality it was fine. And then we end up seeing T'Challa come home at the end and, see his dad, who is not dead in this version of events, because the events of Civil War wouldn't have played out that way, because...
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit. So maybe in this world, the Avengers are truly not a thing. What about S.H.I.E.L.D. then? S.H.I.E.L.D. wouldn't be a thing as well. Because...
Potentially. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if they come back to any episodes or any universes that they've now created and explore more of it. I mean, the setup at the end of this episode, it seems like there's going to be a follow-up, right, where we see Ego, because they got Kurt Russell back. So you wouldn't get him back for 2 lines of dialogue. Yeah,
that's so true. Oh my God, yeah. And he was great. He actually, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was, comparable to number 1.
It had its moments.
It did have its moments. The characters... Drax fucking carried the fucking second movie. Just seeing more of him and just him, just feeling at home. Because in the first one, he was very troubled. And I just love his character arc, how he's, more, relaxed. Very much like Thor. Thor's lost everyone. Drax has lost everyone.
Yeah.
But he's got this, ragtag team of, friends and family who he loves just being silly with and protecting. So I love seeing him. But yeah, Peter Quill, he didn't grow too much in the second one. So it was just a bit disappointing, but it's going to be interesting to see him not as Star-Lord, him just as this random teenage.
Yeah, just some guy.
Yeah, some guy that works at a burger joint just being like, oh shit.
Yeah. I do think it's funny as well. A lot of people have an issue with Peter in Infinity War, right? Because... people blame him for losing, right? Because he rages out, learning that Thanos killed Gamora, and punches Thanos in the face repeatedly, and that allows Thanos to be freed from the trance, and then goes on to kill half the universe. So people, for some reason, people really I'm someone who can understand where a character's coming from.
Yeah,
and I think that choice makes sense. Gamora is the only person in this universe that he loves. And she was just taken away from him.
She loves him as well. And if anyone knows, we both have girlfriends. If someone took those people away from us, we'd be pretty fucking mad. You'd be insufferable. You'd be honestly insane for quite a bit. So if you learn of that straight away, you
it's
your instincts take over. Yeah, you are... Yeah. You are not human. You are a fucking animal, and you will just do anything you can. But yeah.
Yeah. So while we're on that page, a lot of people now hate his character. And I think this episode of What If is only doing more damage to it, because it's showing all of the ways that Star-Lord could have been a better character. So I think they've got a tough job for Guardians 3 to try to save his character.
I am excited to see, because there's the new Gamora, obviously, that isn't dead, but also hasn't met Peter. And but it's also going to be...
Just quickly off that, I thought about this after Loki, right?
Yep.
Technically, that version of Gamora should be a variant, but I think we're just going to ignore that because they hadn't thought of that yet.
Yeah, but remember...
Unless it was always supposed to happen.
Maybe. Yeah, I think that
that's always the explanation. It was always supposed to happen.
I think that is the explanation, because she's been taken, so she's gone, and then she's been replaced with a variant. So I think there's no I don't know. Again, they were trying to find. Well, that's the pure line, I guess, is where they win the second time, as Doctor Strange saw in his 14 million possibilities. So that might explain it. But yeah, I'm interested to see how he can redeem himself and how he traces back his steps with Gamora. That'd be funny to see again. But yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Oh yeah. Well, where was Gamora in this second episode because, I mean, her sister was there. Thanos was there. Where was she?
It's a very good question. I think there's been, if they do follow up these stories with like sequel episodes, there has been some, there's been some posters released, right, that has various different characters in What If that are turning up. One of them is a Gamora that appears to be wearing Thanos' armor. So if we could speculate for a second, maybe this takes place in the universe of this second episode. And, if we look in Avengers Endgame, when they go back to, before the events of Guardians 1, and you see Gamora, and she's very much on the side of Thanos and is, trying to fulfill his mission still. What if that version of Gamora, what if when Star-Lord, T'Challa, changes Thanos' perspective, what if that like really angers Gamora and she defies it and is like, no, I'm now going to carry out your mission for you. Yeah,
because she was a result of Thanos's, Thanos's evil.
Genocide.
Genocide, yeah. Because, her planet was halved and her parents were fucking killed by Thanos and, she was adopted. So maybe, this could be driven, that would definitely drive me mad if all it takes is one guy to just make Thanos reconsider, and then you're looking at Thanos like, this is the guy that just fucking killed my parents, and all it took was just one man to just have a discussion, I'm gonna do this shit because I'm stronger than him, and she's lived through it, and she's like, maybe that's changed her mind on it. So that would actually make sense.
So there's a bit of speculation for you, but I think that's kind of everything I've had to say about the second episode.
Excited for the third one.
Yeah, very excited. So I don't know if we'll talk about each episode week to week. If the episodes continue, if we have things to talk about each week, we will talk about it. Otherwise, we might just do a roundup when they're all done. We'll see. Just stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
But now, let's talk about the surprising hit. It was a hit at the time it came out.
Yeah, 88% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. The hit movie from 2016, the hit horror movie, Don't Breathe, which stars the guy from Avatar, the bad guy from Avatar, Stephen Lang, as a blind man.
Yes.
And there are 3 people who are not blind. They're normally capable human beings.
They're just dickheads.
Yeah, who commit robberies and have decided to rob this blind man because they think it's going to be an easy win, and he's got like $10,000 or something from some his daughter was run over. Oh, millions, I don't know. His daughter was run over, and I think he was paid out for it, so they're trying to steal that money from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a pretty weird fucking movie. I think it's quite good. I think it held my attention the entire time, and I think it built a lot of tension in the scary moments, and it was entertaining ultimately, but it's a pretty fucking weird movie. So I just explained the premise, but there's a lot more to the movie than just that. Now I think we should just get straight into it, right? So his daughter, I just want to get this. I just want to make sure it's clear.
Yeah.
His daughter dies in a car accident.
Yes.
He kidnaps the person who did it, who happens to be female, which is very convenient. Very convenient.
To the plot.
Yeah.
Plot convenience.
Because he artificially inseminates her with a turkey baster so that she can have his child to pay him back for the child that he lost.
Mm-hmm. I wonder why they bothered with the turkey baster. Just get him to rape her. Honestly, it
was a really weird point to make.
It was 2016. Really just get him. He's blind, but how does he? He still knows where to put.
He's still the bad guy if he's artificially inseminating someone. It's so weird that they had to literally, they had him say a line of dialogue was like, "I'm not a rapist," and it's just a really weird dialogue to put in a movie.
You've kept this woman in your fucking basement for...
Yeah.
Well, she was fully pregnant, which means, 9 months, right?
Yeah.
That's a long fucking time. And you're yeah, so that was just weird. I guess they put that in to just be like...
It's quite nice that he draws the line somewhere, and he draws the line at rape. So,
yeah.
At least he has a conscience. That's okay.
Fine. Rape?
No.
No.
I know better. I'm an army veteran.
A blind one.
And yes. And so then the story plays out, and he accidentally kills the woman that's got his child.
Yes, he didn't think about that before widely, shooting down into the cellar.
He's a blind man with a gun, just shooting wildly. Maybe
but still, think about this. Think about this.
The woman,
right? She moved, right, which rung the bell. Okay.
Yeah.
So in his mind, he's like, "All right, they're in there. She's moving. She's seen them."
Yeah.
Goes down to the basement with a gun. Can't see, obviously. Shoots wildly into the basement where she is tied up and she can't move. Right.
Because think about it this way, right? These people are in his house to steal money, but he doesn't know that. He doesn't know why they're in his house. And I think it's a pretty safe assumption if you're keeping someone stored in the basement that maybe people might come to save her. So at the very least, you should assume that they're going to try to save her, even if it wasn't their intention. Now that they've found her,
why does he check the money? Why does he check the money that's safe, is safe in the safe?
True. He does check the money, but also, actually, he
did
check the money.
And for plot convenience, the fucking code is written on the fucking thing.
Safe, because a blind man needs to look at the code written there.
At the code written there. Oh, for fuck.
In case he forgets.
Yeah, and then when the alarm goes off at the end, and it's like really loud, and he's like, it's like, you're blind, but you know where the alarm thing is. I mean, it stays in one spot. And also, why is a blind veteran with a security company?
Plot.
Yeah.
Because the writers said so.
Yeah, again, so many things in this movie were so plot convenient that I was just like, I was sick of it. It suffers from, have you heard of fridge logic?
So fridge logic is that a movie only needs to make sense while you're watching it. And it's okay if, when you go to open your fridge later at night and you open your fridge and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. It's okay because you've finished watching the movie. So at that point, it's irrelevant. As if you're questioning the movie while watching the movie, then that's bad. But if you can get from scene to scene and then question it after everything's already happened, then it's like, we did our job. We got you to the finish line,
Yeah, but the only thing that wasn't that, fridge... what was it again? Fridge
logic.
The only thing that wasn't fridge logic was that the three of them, Alex, fucking the chick, and the dickhead dude, were going to just rob this old man's house on a hunch.
Yeah.
That's it. They usually rob because,
Alex, right?
Yeah.
Alex, who's played by the guy from 13 Reasons Why. Because I was like, oh, he looks familiar. And then I realized, and I was like, oh, shit. Anyway. His character keeps trying to remind the others, he's kind of like the barometer of what's acceptable to do, right? Both from a legal standpoint, but also what we can get away with in that. But it's just it's really inconsistent when he steps in. And because he initially makes the decision, we're not going to rob the house. And then we don't really see why he changes his mind. He just does.
I agree.
But I did like the fact that his character kept almost dying and then not. I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah. He was an Iron Man. He was literally fucking just did not... He was a juggernaut, literally. And, again, another plot, thing was, when, he missed him with the fucking clippers, right?
Yeah. So I love that. I love that fake out. That is a great fake out.
Yeah, I mean, it was like thrilling. But yeah, so he obviously did that because he couldn't find the gun, right?
Yeah.
That was like right next to him. How does he end up finding it like at the end to fucking kill him?
Maybe. Oh, see, well,
Again,
but remember,
again.
right? Like that whole sequence. So actually, we'll get back to this point. Let's circle back to the artificial insemination, right?
Yes.
So he kills the woman carrying his daughter, and then the woman who's in the heist team
Yes.
is then taken in her place and is about to be
her name's Rocky.
Rocky. Yeah, that's her
Yes.
name. Rocky is then about to be artificially inseminated, and then that's when what was his name? Alex comes and saves the day, and they handcuff him.
Yeah.
They handcuff him and run away, and then suddenly he's back again and shoots Alex in the head.
Exactly. A blind man.
Which I get for that. You need that shock value, right? Of you're not expecting it. You think they're safe, but at the same time, it doesn't make any sense. So.
I also hated how, because you know how it started with him dragging her through the street with her hair. I hate scary movies that start where they end, because it just feels like then the whole movie is a waste of your time. Because you obviously know, okay, so she's the only one that survives. Like, the entire time I was waiting for Alex to die, because I was like, well, he's not in it at the end. Like, it just felt like a fucking... like a tease, or not a tease actually, because then I wasn't actually, is he going to die? Like, it literally, like, I would have liked it if it actually subverted my expectations and he just didn't fucking die. But I mean, I did like that it made it clear that he died because he got shot in the fucking throat and he was just like, that was
this time
probably...
he's dead. This time he's dead for good.
Yeah.
And I will say, I do like the concept of having a blind guy that shoots first, asks questions later. I think that is a scary kind of villain where, you don't know what he's going to do and he's most likely just going to shoot and wildly.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
And I think it's a good horror movie villain. I do think it's a good horror movie villain.
Yeah. Again, like I was saying at the start, how, like, when I saw the trailers, I thought it was going to be like a freaky house that these kids were actually trapped in instead of, like, placing themselves there. I mean, it was, like, satisfying to see the dickhead, like, these, like, guys die. Get karma. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well,
like, it was like...
It's weird in that, like, everyone's a bad guy and you don't know who you should be rooting for. I mean, ultimately, you're rooting for Rocky and Alex because they're the less dickhead, of all of them. But, this blind man, he's gone through a lot. Yes, he's artificially inseminated this poor woman. But, like, he's an army veteran. He lost his child. Like, give him some slack,
Yeah. And I mean, like, it really tried to, make these characters relatable with Rocky having, like, a daughter and being like, do you want to go to California?
No, a sister,
like,
actually. I think it was a
sister. Fuck, like, again, like, you don't feel for this character because she's stealing that money. She isn't working hard.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in other heist movies where they're like, one more heist and then I'll get out. It's like, okay.
No, exactly.
Or
they don't
like
seem
Baby
to be...
Driver, like...
Yeah, they don't seem to have that rough of a life.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I don't know.
Again, that's... And, the word is mediocre. Like, everyone in this film is mediocre except for the villain.
But I did find it interesting to watch. Like, I did find it fun. I think Stephen Lang... I could not give a shit about Avatar. I think Avatar doesn't deserve to be the highest, box office earner of all time. I think it is such an average movie. I think it's one of James Cameron's worst movies. That's my little quick Avatar rant. But Stephen Lang, quite a good actor. And he's fantastic in this. He's terrifying in it.
He is.
Especially, actually, the scene where they're in the basement and the lights go off, it's brilliant. Like, even if this whole movie's kind of whack, that scene is truly brilliant. Like, the way it's shot, you think it is actually pitch black and they can't see. Because their pupils are fucking massive, right? As it would be when it's pitch black because, your eyes open up. And I read that they put, contact lenses in to get that effect. And it just sells it. And you're like, fuck, they're pitch black. And they're acting it so well. It's like they truly can't see. And then you have Stephen Lang, who like knows his surroundings perfectly. He like hits like a chime thing and like...
Or a fan. He like,
Yeah. Like he knows exactly where he is. And it's just like the fact that like now no one knows where each other are, but you can. But he's got the advantage because that's how he lives his life.
Exactly.
I thought it was a brilliant sequence.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. So then, like, I'm very interested. Well, they did set up a sequel, right? Because he's like, oh, he's in a stable condition. Everybody.
A sequel has now come out.
Yeah, true. Lol. Well, so like,
I would assume.
I'm just interested. So, like, yeah, they played. I feel like they've played with this blind character as much as they can. Like, how else can they innovate off this villain?
And is it like a Daredevil situation where by being blind, he's got his other senses have improved so that he has like some...
Well, he smelt the shoes, didn't he?
Yeah, he had better smell, better hearing.
But, like, again, with that plot inconvenience or convenience or whatever, remember when he first, like, Alex first dodges the blind dude, right?
Yeah.
And he's, like, on the wall and he just walks past. Yeah. How does he not smell him?
No. Yeah, that's the one thing I think this movie is ultimately a movie because the guy at the start of the movie, the blind guy, is really like just a normal blind guy. And then as the movie progresses, he gets more and more powerful for no reason, right? He should have been that way at the start of the movie, right?
Yeah.
This is his domain. This is what he knows best.
Yeah.
He's a veteran, so he should have like full control from the start of the movie. Yeah. But it actually builds up in terms of the control. And well, there's a dog.
Yeah. Which somehow gets in the house as well.
Yeah,
like,
it's barely utilized at the start, and then very conveniently at the end, it's like...
Here's the
dog. Fucking climbing through a wall to get the bitch, right? Like, for fuck's sake.
I love how also when the car scene, how the dog is like, right, it's like on her, but it's just trying to bite her face.
Yeah.
Like, it can bite, like, any part of her body. It's literally like this big Rottweiler, I think they're called. Like, the dog from GTA. Fucking huge, massive teeth, right? And it's like, she's like just leaning away as the leash has got it. But, like, it's on top of her. It could just literally bend its fucking, mouth down and just take a big chomp of her breast. And, like, movie's done. Movie's over. She's dead. But no, it's just going for a face.
Yeah. Now, there was one moment in the movie. I don't think I've laughed as hard as I've laughed in this movie. Like, no comedy has made me laugh this much. Okay, it is so fucking funny. Even just the thought about it is so funny. The fact that writers thought of doing this is incredible, and everyone takes it seriously.
Is this the
when he goes to inseminate Rocky?
Yeah.
And then Alex saves her, and then she shoves the turkey baster full of cum in his fucking throat, and he chokes on his own cum, and it's like he vomits it back up a little bit. He's like,
and there's heaps of it. There's heaps of it. It's like
so funny.
Oh my god. Oh, like I remember, watching it, and I was like, that's a lot. That is a big load.
That's a lot of cum.
Like he didn't want this to go wrong. He was like, I want the highest chance possible. So yeah, I was that was very, very funny to see how it like spurted out, and you were just sitting there like,
it was so funny.
I don't know, I was like, poor man, but at the same time what he was about to do was kind of like wrong, but then like
it's so gross, the fact that people thought of this dumb subplot where he's inseminating women. Why?
Just to make him worse than the protagonists.
It doesn't add anything to this movie. You could just have it that here's my pitch for what I would have done differently is I would have aged up his original daughter a bit so that she's more like a late teenager, and then she dies tragically, and then he's he's kidnapped the woman to replace his daughter. So he's like, now you'll be my daughter. That's just a much cleaner way of getting to the same outcome. You don't need all of this insemination nonsense.
No.
Which I just can't fathom why people thought of it. And
again,
we're
fear
okay
factor.
with it.
Fear and creepy factor. Like, imagine women watching
so
this and just
weird,
being like, ew. Like how he cuts her pants open and then they're magically resealed.
Well, exactly. So, in the context of the movie, she should theoretically have a slit in her pants
big
for
slit.
the whole third act.
Yes. She doesn't.
Yeah.
She doesn't. What else? No, honestly, I would have liked the movie better if he was the good guy, but he was just like fucking fearless and like ruthless from the start.
Yeah.
And it was maybe like 5 robbers and he was living in a big mansion or something. Like that would have been cool.
Yeah. You don't realistically, it doesn't add anything to the movie that he is the bad guy. Like, you can still have it where the protagonist, like, you can have it where the protagonist has tried to rob this guy, right?
Yeah.
The guy turns out to be, like, quite a nice guy. He's a veteran and he's lost his daughter. And he's ruthless, right? But he is just a good man. And then she can realize through her actions that, oh, this was such a mistake. And then that's how you get her character arc in terms of being a better person. Whereas in reality, we don't really see any character development. It's just, oh, in hindsight, that was a bad idea. But, like, nothing is learnt. Where you could have had to learn a true lesson when it's like, no, we shouldn't be attacking the vulnerable or something like that. You know?
Exactly.
Taking advantage of the vulnerable. That would have been a great message to have in the movie.
That would have been, the girl of like this burglar group, and she's the only one that's nice to this like blind veteran man or whatever the fuck. Or maybe she reminds him of the daughter, like his daughter, and then happy ending, he accepts her to be her daughter because she was adopted or some shit. That would have been lovely. That I would have liked that. I always like scary movies that are like really scary and then like they end happily. Well, I mean, to be honest,
I think a great example of that is Get Out, right?
Yes.
Especially because at the end of Get Out, you see the flashing red and blue lights and you assume, oh no, he's fucked, he's going to get arrested. And then it turns out to be his mate. All is good. Amazing ending to a movie. So not every horror movie needs to end on a bad note. Like you can have it end on a happy note. That's okay.
But then again, the best scary movies do end on a bad note. Like Sinister, Hereditary.
Yeah.
Fucking, they're both brilliant horror films. Again, you're never questioning. Like, again, like, they needed these 3 to be burglars because otherwise why would they be in this house?
Yeah.
There are probably better houses to rob, honestly. And they should have done more research. Like, you don't just rob someone's house off a hunch.
Well, also, just quickly, I just remembered this. So at the start of the movie, they gas the guy, but he's the blind guy, but he's fine.
Yeah. He's fine. Yeah.
Like, what? Like, I just don't get why he was fine. Was the gas useless? Or was he used to, because of his training, like he knew what to do under that situation?
That's not like military training though. Like, you don't regularly get gassed. You have a gas mask. That's part of like a kit. I get you would have a gas. There's no like, oh, if you just don't breathe, then obviously you won't get the gas. That's probably what he was doing. He wasn't breathing. That's why the film's called Don't Breathe.
No, I thought the movie was called Don't Breathe because when you have a turkey baster full of cum shoved in your throat, you can't breathe because cum isn't air, dummy. Right? So you shouldn't breathe cum. That is the lesson of this movie. You shouldn't breathe cum.
Silly.
Don't breathe cum. Don't breathe cum.
That's all I got from this movie. Is like cum is not breathable.
Yeah,
it's not the same as oxygen. Who would have thought?
Honestly. I know it does. It's very educational in that way. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
It taught a lot of people to stop breathing cum. It was a real epidemic at the time. In 2016.
Oh, holy shit! Like whack things were happening in 2016. What else was coming out in 2016 that we can remember? Fucking
Donald Trump becoming president.
That's true. So yeah, a lot of things were very iffy. So yeah, I think this was a much needed educational, scary movie.
Yes. So if you are going to take anything away from this movie, it's that you can't breathe cum.
And if you do, then it's very cinematic.
Yeah. You'll gag on it.
Hilarious. It's so good. Just
I honestly have never laughed as hard as oh, and she says as well, I forgot to mention, when she does it, she says like a quip. She's like, how does that taste? And it's like fucking awful. It tastes fucking awful.
Yeah, salty. I eat some pineapple, maybe.
Oh, fuck. What did I have for breakfast this morning? It's
not good things. Well, no, you
I also like there was he says a line when it's like oh, why didn't you know, I can't remember the line, like why was she not arrested, like talking about the woman who killed his daughter, like why wasn't she arrested, or why didn't she go to jail, or something like that. And he says rich girls don't go to jail. And I just thought that's a bit of good social commentary there. Just let's slot that into the movie. Rich girls don't go to jail.
Yeah, the writers were like, fuck, like, what's something that people can just, like, shrug off and be like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Also,
she's rich.
So the end, like, well, not the end scene, but, like, where she catches the news report, convenient news report of him getting arrested. Well, no, he doesn't get arrested. He gets put in thing.
No, he gets hospital. Yeah,
hospitalized, right? But he would get arrested because they found, like, a creepy fucking basement.
No. Well,
with this woman tied up.
You're forgetting about plot convenience, okay? They only found the two men who were trying to rob the house. So then it looks like he was defending himself. That's all good. They didn't find the other woman, and they didn't find the creepy insemination at the bottom of the basement. Because if you think about it, right, the last time we see him, he's on his back, he's pushed down into the basement. And I might add, fantastic shot where the door closes on him, and it's like now pitch black, but you see like the little whites in his eyes because of like there's a little bit of light, and you just see the whites, and it's a nice little shot. I think it's quite cinematic looking. Anyway, so the last time we see him, he's like kind of stuck in his basement, right? Yeah. After the events of the movie. So maybe he was like, well, I've got all these dead bodies here, so I'm going to have to call up an ambulance or something, or police and that. So I'll just clean up my basement first.
Yeah.
But anyway,
but how would he tell if everything's clean? He's fucking blind. Like, how would he know if there's just a little bit of blood? There's just cum
everywhere. If the police came in with a UV light, he'd be fucked.
Exactly. Like, and where would he bury the fucking woman or put the woman, like, you know, to ensure, like, it's just, how does this man function? Like, I mean, I understand how blind people function, like, normally, because there's things made to allow them to function normally, but there's no product that says, oh, how to make sure that the person that you've killed is buried properly so cops won't find it. Not just burying someone in your backyard and just fucking, I don't know, or like, you know, shoveling into a water main or something. Like, there's just too much that, you know, can't be explained for me.
Yes.
And that's why it's one of those.
There's a lot of plot holes in the movie, or at least leaps in logic. And, you know, again, it suffers from fridge logic. And my kind of review of it is that I watched it, midnight last night, and it's only an hour and a half. It moves quickly. The scenes, it builds up tension well. The scenes are fun. Stephen Lang is a great actor. So I ultimately had a good time watching it. But it's just a pretty whack movie. And I think that the whole insemination subplot just completely takes this movie down a peg. And it would have been like an okay horror movie if it wasn't for that whole side plot that is just so whack.
Yeah.
Because I should mention as well, this is largely going to be my final point.
Mm-hmm.
The movie doesn't have much dialogue, right? Because, of course, you know, the premise is that you can't make noise.
Can't breathe, yeah.
Yeah, you can't breathe. So, and I think given that it doesn't have much dialogue and it was able to hold my attention, they had to have done a good job making the movie.
Yeah. So you're right. That's what I would say. Like, I was watching it and it wasn't like the usual, like, well, Actually, most horror movies are quite good at holding your attention. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
there aren't many where
Even
you're
the bad
sitting
ones,
through
right?
them. Yeah, even the bad ones. There aren't many where you're sitting through and you're like, "Fuck!" Like I'm honestly gonna turn this off because I'm not interested in it. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to see this. But yeah, no, they did actually do a good job with holding your attention, and you did want to see what happened. But then again, there was that back thing in my mind of like, oh, remember the start of the movie where they just spoil the entire thing? Yeah,
And that she's going to be the only one.
yeah. So that was unfortunate, but they just shouldn't have done. That's like the same of that's the exact same with I think it's called Us. It's like what's his name?
This
Keegan.
Jordan Peterson. No, not Jordan Peterson. Oh my god.
Keegan.
No, it's not Keegan, is it? Why did I say Jordan Peterson? Oh, Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. Sorry.
Jordan Peele.
Of Key and Peele. Lol. I'm an idiot.
Yes.
Yeah. They shouldn't have shown that she switched over at the start.
Yeah.
That would have made for such a much better movie. Because then when
I do have a huge issue with Us, but I don't think we have time for it today. But I agree.
Oh,
it's
no,
the same
definitely
sort of issue. Don't hint the end. Like, don't show us.
Don't
the
spoon
ending of the horror
feed
movie.
your fucking audiences.
Yeah.
All right? If
Let
they
us get
need
there in the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's because they feel they need a creepy opening shot. That's the only reason.
They could have had that, but then not had that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they could have have her not. I don't know, but yeah. Again, the whole premise was so whack. Like, it was the government. If the government was tracking them, then they would know that some of them are out, right? Like, for fuck's sake.
Let's not get too off topic now. But that's been our review of. I almost said Get Out. What's it called? Don't Breathe. Yeah. That's our review of Don't Breathe. Too much cum.
Yeah. Well, we're watching the second one next week, aren't we?
Well, no. So we watched Don't Breathe this week to celebrate the release of the sequel. I don't know if we will talk about the sequel, but I don't know. I don't even know when we will be able to watch it. But so yeah, a lot of the movies that have been coming out now that we haven't been able to watch, we will catch up on when there's a way of watching them.
Sorry, I just actually looked at the budget for Don't Breathe because we always love our budgets.
So, Budget Talk this week. Our podcast now presents Budget Talk with the Budget Boys. Budget Boys. That's going to be the segment now. Budget Boys.
We have Budget Boys news, okay? Don't Breathe, all right, was made for 9.9 million. Which kind of makes sense. I'm not going to lie.
How many Jungle Cruises could you get for that?
You'd get like what? 20? No. Yeah, 20?
You could have 20. Yeah, you could have roughly 20 Don't Breathes for one Jungle Cruise.
Wow. So, that's but like it makes sense in Don't Breathe because it's a house. And they're just breaking glass and gun effects, and there's 4 actors. There's 4 actors.
I didn't even think about that. Film. Yeah, there's barely any actors. So they got quite good ones at that. So that's true, probably where most of the money went.
So yeah, but like, and it made 160 million box office.
See, that's the thing with these horror movies is that they're really low budget, and they make quite a lot of money compared to their budget.
Yeah. Oh, like examples like Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch Project. They were made for like 10,000 or 100,000, and they made so much money. But they were so ahead of their time. Like, they weren't just scary. I mean, now they're a bit goofy, but like back in the day, they were fucking amazing because they were so ahead of their time. Whereas today, I mean, it's only really Hereditary, which is like, doing bits, I guess, in the horror segment for innovative.
Yeah, I mean, horror movies today, I mean, I'd say here's the one thing we have to give Don't Breathe some credit for is it's kind of reminiscent of older horror movies, because right now horror movies are largely just the supernatural, right?
Yes.
Or it's
like more mental
or psychological, like thriller type movies.
Sorry, yeah, my bad.
Whereas this is harkening back to like the slasher days where you have this like unstoppable force of a killer, and you just have some scared little woman who has to defend herself against him. So it's kind of it's kind of nostalgic in that way, and it's different to a lot of the horror movies coming out around the same time.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't have any more notes. Do you?
Okay. Well, let's go in. We're gonna do one quick round. Well, just one round. You've got one chance of doing movie details versus shitty movie details, and then we're gonna go into a segment I'm calling "Have You Been Paying Attention?" Okay. But that's to come. Firstly, movie detail or shitty movie detail. So I'm gonna list out 3 real movie details, 1 shitty movie detail. You're gonna have to tell me which one's the shitty one.
Let's do it.
Seems simple enough. Here's the first one. In Don't Breathe, 2016. The walls of the blind man's house have streaks since he has to touch them to get around. Okay? Second one. Don't Breathe, 2016 was praised for its accurate portrayal of turkey baster's original purpose, that being insemination. I should add artificial insemination. Don't Breathe, 2016 dash. The street next to the house where the film takes place is called Buena Vista, which in brackets he's put good view. So I can only assume that means that it is translated to mean good view. Sure. The antagonist in the film is completely blind. Or Buena Vista is just a very common name for a street. I mean, that could also just be the case.
Yeah, that's true.
In Don't Breathe, after the woman escapes the house, the blind man parts the blinds to look out the window. Which, of course, wouldn't make any sense because he's blind. So, it's
like, oh wait, I'm blind. Fuck. Oh, that'd be hilarious. Just him getting out a pair of binoculars and being like, oh wait, I'm fucking blind.
Blind.
All right.
So which is the shitty movie detail?
Okay, that was tough. I'm not gonna lie, because it's either the second one or the last one. And the last one, can you repeat the second one? I think it was about just...
Don't Breathe 2016 was praised for its accurate portrayal of turkey baster's original purpose, that being artificial insemination.
See, why would you put that as a movie detail? That's so blatantly obvious. But that isn't a shitty movie detail because it's not dumb. I think it's the last one. I'm going to go with the last one. My gut is feeling the last one.
So you're going to go with In Don't Breathe, after the woman escapes the house, the blind man parts the blinds to look out the window. That is your answer.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that is a real movie detail.
Why the fuck does he do that? He's blind. Why does he do that? I don't even remember that because I literally saw it and I was like, of course he'd do that. He's fucking looking at her. But no. Is he doing that for his ear? Is he opening the blind?
He's straight up. There's a shot of him straight up opening the blinds and looking out of it.
Oh,
so that's how dumb this movie is. The shitty movie detail was the insemination one.
Of course it fucking was. That's not even a good shitty movie detail. They usually are so dumb that you're like, oh.
No, I know.
That was good. You picked a good one though, because then
exactly, I picked a good one because my point is that all movie details are pretty bad, and if you find a good shitty movie detail, it's as good as a bad actual movie detail.
That's true.
But I then was trying to figure out what the thingy was called for insemination, what the guy uses, because I couldn't think of the name of it. And that shitty movie detail made me realize it was a turkey baster. So then I Googled turkey baster, and this is what Google comes up with. Does a turkey baster work to get pregnant? What are turkey basters used for? How can you get pregnant with a turkey baster? What does it mean to turkey baster someone? What helps you get pregnant fast? Does home insemination really work? So I don't know if this movie did this to this Google search, or if turkey basters had always been, or people had always used turkey basters for this.
People are, I'm going off the same thing that people also asking. Does home insemination really work? Fuck. Though it's not the most effective method out there, well, fucking, how long is sperm good for? Up to 5 days. All right, that's not too bad.
Why does he boil? Also, why does he boil his sperm? He cooks it up.
To boil the hell out of it. I don't know. The hell's bad. I don't know. Yeah, why would... let's type up. Is it good to boil my sperm? What is the boiling point of cum?
This is educational now. What is
All right, here we go. So here we go. I won't ask why do you want to know.
No, wait. The boiling point of cum. So if you get cum to that point, it means you can breathe cum.
What? No. Don't ever do that again. Wait, no, okay. Here it says it's proteinaceous, high iron solution. That means it'll boil the water off at 100 degrees and then the rest of it will burn and it'll smell horrible. Thank you, TG Pineapple. So obviously he boiled some cum in his days. So semen is mostly water, so it has the approximate boiling point of water. Why would you do this? Why would people? Why? Why would you boil sperm?
Why do you boil cum?
Why would you boil sperm? What? No, I don't. What happens if semen? No. What? Yeah. What happens to sperm if you cook it?
Bro. Do you reckon this was the search history of the writers?
Yeah, they were like, wait, what can we do with cum? All right, no one has ever innovated in the cum industry. All right, because it doesn't need to be innovated.
There's never been so much cum in a movie as this movie.
Yeah. That's very interesting. We should do more of these Google searches. These are great.
Yes. No. So join us next week for cum facts.
Mm-hmm. We'll have some more.
Quickly, I've got one final game to play because I didn't want to just do one round of movie detail versus shitty movie detail. So it's a game I like to call Have You Been Paying Attention? Mm-hmm. And essentially, we're going to take a Don't Breathe quiz and we're going to see how much we actually remember of this movie.
Not a lot.
So we're gonna figure out the answers together. I'm going to put them in. We're going to do the quiz and see how much we got right.
Let's do it.
So... first question, where does Rocky want to move?
California.
You got that straight away. I couldn't even think of it. The options were Michigan, New York, Florida, or California. It was California?
Yep.
I'll take your word for it. I can't remember.
Yeah, she was like, do you want to go to California?
Oh, so to their little sister.
Yeah. And she was like,
I have faith.
How are you getting all this money? Oh, wait, I'm too young to give a shit. But yeah, I didn't really give a shit because, again, she's a scum. Scumbag.
Question 2. According to Alex, why do he, Rocky, and Money, that's what the third guy's name was Money. Why does he, Rocky, and Money never steal more than $10,000?
Because then the cops actually, prosecute you or something. Well, they yeah.
So the options are because it's easier to hide, because of the morals, because of the jail time, because they were raised right. I think it was because they were raised right.
Yeah, they were raised right. They were like, we're going to take everyone's belongings, but not more than $10,000. No, yeah, it's because of...
jail time.
Yeah, jail time, I think, yeah.
Okay, here's a good one. When did the blind man lose his sight? Was it the Gulf War, Vietnam War, Korean War, or the war in Iraq?
Gulf War, I reckon.
The Gulf War? You're pretty strong on that.
Well, yeah. I'm going to say Gulf War. Gulf or Iraq?
I thought it could be Iraq.
Would it be Korean? Like, he wasn't that old.
Oh,
He's probably
Korean or Vietnam.
He was probably 50. Like, you'd have to be like 60 or 70 for like, I don't know.
But Iraq might be too soon. Okay.
Yeah, Iraq's too soon. Maybe Gulf or Korean, I reckon, because like...
I'll go, your first answer was Gulf War. You said that pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
I'll blame you if we get that wrong.
Yeah.
Where does the blind man hide his handgun? Under his bed, in the piano, in his pillowcase, in the fireplace. It is under his bed.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
Okay. How does Money, remember, that's a character's name. How does Money open the lock to the basement? It's already unlocked when he finds it, with a crowbar, with a gun,
with a crowbar.
Key. I think it's with a gun.
No, with the gun, because he pulls it out. And Alex is like,
you have a gun? Wait a minute. You have a gun? Wait a minute. This
fucking
how did
shit.
How did the blind man, who's got better hearing, how did he not notice the fucking gun? Was he under the influence of the gas then, and then he woke up from it later?
Wore off. Yeah, I guess it wore off. I don't know. Fuck this movie.
Anyway, Money uses a gun, we're going to say.
Yes. Fuck Money.
Where does the blind man keep all of his money stowed away? Under the bed, in the closet, in the doghouse, in the attic. In the closet.
As you do,
with a safe with the code written on it.
They're out of company now, for some reason.
Yeah. Okay, question 7. What does Rocky and Alex find in the blind man's basement? A shrine, money.
A shrine.
I don't know if money is the character.
Money.
I don't know if money is the character or the money. Money.
Money.
But a shrine, money, a person, or corpses.
A person.
A person that's been inseminated.
That's the word. Of course, it's a fucking person. Did you watch the movie?
Yeah, I know.
Thought these were going to be hard.
This is going through. This is just going through what the movie showed us because it's the story of the movie.
Was the man blind, deaf, or obese?
There's not many. This would surprise you, but there's not many don't breathe quizzes out there.
Yeah, true.
So,
fucking hell.
Okay, question 8. Rocky and Alex end up trapped in a bedroom. How does Rocky get out? Through a window. She doesn't. Through the floorboards. Through an air vent.
Air vent.
Air vent.
Convenient human-sized air vent.
Yes, that a dog could also fit in.
Yes.
Well, it's actually, it makes sense. A dog could. But it's so weird that the dog is climbing through the fucking house.
It's weird also that there's a human-sized air vent in a fucking house. Fair enough that there's one in, Die Hard because he's in a skyscraper, which is a big, big place.
Yeah.
You'd want air to travel around.
Yeah.
But in a house, in a singular house, where you could just open a window and get, fucking air in. Come on. Think about that.
Agreed. Question 9. The blind man plans to use Rocky and keep her in his house for how long?
9 months.
3 months, 1 year, the night. He just wants the night.
1 year.
With her.
1 year.
He just wants the night.
He just wants the night. Nah. He's one night stand man.
Or a one night stand man. But he doesn't rape. So he's going to work up his magic and try to get her on board.
With the knife?
But yes. And then the final answer is 9 months, which is...
I guess, yeah.
The answer. Okay. Now here's question 10. Okay. This one's hard. Final question of the quiz. Mm-hmm. Right? They put this at the end because they know it's the most difficult.
Mm-hmm. I'm ready.
Are you prepared?
As I'll ever be.
Okay, question 10. Does Rocky escape the house? Yes or no? I just want to keep in mind, there weren't many Don't Breathe quizzes, all right? So give me some slack, please.
Did these people breathe cum in this movie? True or false?
That's
False.
a tough one because you can't breathe calm. You can't breathe calm. But someone tried.
I'm gonna say no. She didn't escape because
Yes, she escaped.
the guy kept his eye on her by looking through the blinds. He was like,
Well, see,
"I can still see you."
now I have no idea what the sequel is, but if I was to assume, it's probably the blind man. It's probably like a role reversal where now the blind man is navigating an actual like outside, like he's in the actual world.
What if he's in a mental asylum? Oh, yeah. Actually, that could be good. But then again, I wouldn't watch it. It's got 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What did the first one have?
88. So it's literally half. Literally fucking
Okay,
half.
so I've submitted our answers, and we got 9 out of 10.
What one did we get wrong?
The blind man, he lost his sight in the Iraq War.
So soon? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
So that means
Again.
he hasn't been blind. He hasn't been blind for like that long.
That long, yeah. So he wouldn't... like, I feel like, yeah, blind people that are blind for a long time are like, again, goated on the sticks.
Yeah.
Sticks being the sticks you use to chop your chopsticks.
On that note, we're gonna
Yes.
we're gonna call it this week. On that awful joke that Lucas made.
I hope Don't Breathe 2 gets fucking
Has less cum in it.
Yes, has less cum, and well, I did want a performance similar to Will Ferrell's performance in Anchorman 2 when he's blind. I just absolutely fucking loved it when he was blind because he kind of took it to new levels, really being blind. He didn't realize how hard it is to be blind. Because he was trying to come himself, but he just kept rubbing his shin, expecting the sensation.
Yeah, which is a reference to the Untouchables,
Yes, it is actually.
where the guy comes through his ear or whatever.
Interesting.
Very funny, very funny. But yes, so next week we're gonna review a new movie again. We're going back to new movies. We got a new one.
Thank God. Thank fucking
But don't
God.
get too excited. Don't get too excited.
Oh no.
So, have you seen? I haven't seen it, but have you seen She's All That?
Sorry, wait, just a second.
It's got two of the guys from the Scooby-Doo movie, and it's also got Paul Walker.
She's All That. Oh,
I haven't seen it.
40% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Doesn't matter. So it's a teen high school coming of age story where you have some butt ugly man and some no, sorry, got it the
This
wrong way
guy.
around. You have a hot man and a butt ugly woman, and the hot man turns the butt ugly woman into a hot woman. That's the premise.
Wow. And we're watching that.
Okay? No. Because that came out in 1999.
Oh, okay.
There's been a reboot. Or a remake, I should say. There's been a remake.
Yep.
Comes out on Friday on Netflix. And it's called He's All That. So they've swapped the script. So now instead of it being a butt ugly woman, that becomes a beautiful woman.
It's
a
me.
butt ugly man.
It's me.
Yes, it's Lucas. And he becomes a beautiful man.
A drag queen.
And who do you think He's All That, this new movie coming out, who do you think it stars? Who do you think is the main actress in it? You know, young, influential. I'd say not known for their acting ability.
Okay. No, this. Oh, okay. Say it. I think I know what you.
It's Addison Rae.
No, I don't want to watch it.
No. So next week we're going to be reviewing He's All That on Netflix. It stars Addison Rae and the guy from Cobra Kai.
Oh,
It's
this
only
looks...
an hour and a half long.
Oh. Wait, it's rated R?
Is it R-rated? Are you joking? No way.
Bro, why can't it have Anna Diarmas in it? Fuck. Wait, yeah.
It's got
no,
Addison Rae.
oh, no. R. Lee Fleming Jr. Sorry, I just saw that.
Oh,
yeah,
geez,
look.
you're blind.
This
I
is...
doubt it's R-rated. Yeah,
Bro,
it's going to be a great time. What?
He has a 6-pack in it. Oh, this is going to be terrible. Oh, my God. I'm going to go off at this fucking show. Oh, my God. Oh, this is going to be so bad. Oh, okay.
Now, I think as well, we should probably also just watch the original, just so that we know what we're
100%,
getting ourselves into.
100%. I'm
so
up for that.
next week, we're going to review She's All That, which came out in 1999, and He's All That, coming out this Friday on Netflix, starring Addison Rae.
That's 22
Look
years of difference.
out for that.
Yeah. All right. That'll be good.
So get excited for that next week. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going back to our bread and butter, which is shit movies.
Yes. Well, this was a mediocre movie, I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This was another passable movie.
Passable. Gets a pass.
Gets a pass from us. So yeah, that's been the podcast this week. Please, if you've enjoyed the episode, like us on YouTube. If you watch us on YouTube, comment, all of that good stuff. Follow us on anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're everywhere, baby. And follow us on social media at apodnow and a podcast now on Facebook.
Thank you very much.
And also, I started including the podcast link in the description of everything. So now, just if you want a one-stop shop of where to go for all things a podcast now related, that's where you go, baby. So that's been us this week. Have an amazing week, and look forward to us next week when we talk about He's All That with Addison Rae.
And She's All That with...
And She's All That.
2,000 actors.
It's got She's All That. It's got Paul Walker in it. So
I'm actually excited now for that. But yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
That's next week. See ya.
Mwah. Mwah.
Peace.
Mwah. Mwah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
At least you didn't have cum in your mouth.